Thank you, Gina. That was Gina Nishimura from 888 Taiko, and they go to some of the different demonstrations that have been happening, so we really appreciate her to get your attention. My name's Tom Izu. I am part of the Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition, and I'm on the board of the Japanese American Museum of San Jose, and I'll be helping with this program. But the main person I want to introduce is our real MC, is Natalie Tokiwa Decena.
Thank you all so much for attending our press conference this morning, initiated by San Jose Nikkei Resistors and the Neighborhood Not Enemies Coalition of San Jose. As Tom said, I'm Natalie Tokiwa Decena, a resident of San Jose and the Japantown community. And San Jose Nikkei Resistors is a multi-ethnic, multi-generational grassroots organization working for social justice based here in San Jose, Japantown. And I'd like to start off our speakers with two representatives from one of the many faith organizations and churches that are here in San Jose, Japantown. So we have Rinban Adams of the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuin, and head pastor Reverend John Oda of the Wesley United Methodist Church.
Thank you. I am Reverend Henry Adams, resident minister and Rinban of the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuin, a member of the Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition. I'm here today to express our community's opposition to the construction of the ICE detention facility in Gilroy, California. Under the current administration, ICE detention centers are increasingly being used in a way that strips individuals of due process rights and endangers the stability and safety of local immigrant communities. Of the 120,000 persons of Japanese ancestry incarcerated without due process in the United States during the Second World War, approximately one-half were children. Now those children of Japanese ancestry are adults whom we treasure as respected elders in our community. What is truly remarkable to me is that while these elders often recall and share stories of their experience of detention without due process, they do not express bitterness or hatred. They embody the wisdom of the Buddha, expressed in the following words from the Dhammapada. He abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. Those who cling to such thoughts are never free of hatred. He abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. Those who let go of such thoughts realize freedom from hatred. Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By compassion alone is hatred appeased. This is a law eternal. My Japanese American friends who lived through the World War II incarceration express a simple wish that we never again repeat such inhumanity to our fellow human beings. Watching the events of the past 19 months, where we have seen our neighbors detained without due process, we at the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuin feel deep sadness to see this great nation once again lose sight of the noble ideas upon which it was founded 250 years ago. When President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, formally apologizing for the unjust imprisonment of 120,000 persons of Japanese ancestry without due process, he made the following commitment on behalf of our nation, and I quote, "Here we admit a wrong. Here we reaffirm our commitment as a nation to equal justice under the law." End quote. Let us stand up as a nation committed to equal justice for all our neighbors and oppose the further construction of detention centers like the one proposed in Gilroy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Oda, and I have the honor of serving as the pastor of Wesley United Methodist Church, which is right across the street. I also live right next door in the former Mineta family house. So right here in the heart of Japantown. You know, almost every time I stand at a podium like this, speaking about things like this, I think about my Uncle Tol Seiki. He served with the 442nd Regimental Combat Team during World War II. The 442nd was an all-American, all-Japanese-American squadron and the most decorated unit in U.S. military history for its size. He died in October 1944 in the rescue of the lost battalions in the mountains of France. He fought and died for this country while his own family, my mother's entire family, was behind barbed wire in the Heart Mountain American concentration camp. No charges, no trial, no due process, incarcerated because of their race, and a government that decided that was reason enough. I didn't inherit this history as an abstraction. I inherited it as a wound which turned into a scar. And my history also is a piece of instruction. And the instruction is this. When you see your government begin to sort human beings into categories of who deserve rights and who doesn't, who gets due process and who doesn't, you do not stay quiet. You especially do not stay quiet when you have been taught via painful history exactly where that road leads. That's why I'm standing here today as a Christian pastor in Japantown that has always known both incarceration and resilience. To plainly say, we oppose the ICE detention center proposed near Gilroy, not because we are naive about the questions of immigration policy, but because we know in our bones, in our family stories, what happens when human beings are detained and disappeared without due process. The Christian scripture teaches us again and again to welcome the stranger, not to harass the stranger, not to detain the stranger, not to profit from the stranger's captivity. To me, the phrase, welcome the stranger, is not a suggestion that's tucked in the footnote of the Bible. It runs through the Old Testament, the prophets, the Gospels, the New Testament. It is one of the most repeated commands in the entire Bible because precisely it is one of the easiest commands for us to forget. When we're frightened or we're in a comfortable society, we forget. But a community like Japantown will never forget. We are not enemies of our neighbors. We are their neighbors. Immigrant families, detained families, families torn apart by law enforcement without due process. They are not a threat to be managed. They are a people to be welcomed, defended, and loved. So on behalf of Wesley United Methodist Church, I stand with San Jose Nikkei Resistors, with the Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition, with Rinban Adams, every other faith leader, our elected officials, with the county and Attorney General as they challenge this facility in court. We say, not here, not again, not on our watch. Thank you.
And next we'll have Supervisor Betty Duong of Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors representing District 2, who will share with us the County and California Attorney General's lawsuit against ICE building the detention center near Gilroy.
Good morning. My name is Betty Young, and I represent District 2 on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. District 2 is home to Eastside, to Mayfair, Plata Arroyo, Little Italy, Little Portugal, Little Saigon, and the home to one of the 3 remaining historical Japantowns in America. This is who we are. Thank you to the San Jose Nikkei Resistors, the Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition, our faith leaders, and everyone who has brought us here today at the Issei Memorial Building, which is built by and dedicated to our Japanese American brothers and sisters. I am the daughter of Vietnamese refugees. My parents, our community, my family, my parents fled war and violence to rebuild their lives in the United States. And when they settled here in Santa Clara County in the 70s, it was the Japanese American community here and the coalition of our activists, our leaders, and our neighborhoods that make up District 2 that came to Santa Clara County to invite us and welcome us. Here in Santa Clara County, our Japanese American community, many of whom survived the injustice of concentration camps during World War II, organized and urged the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors then to welcome refugees from Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Because of their advocacy, because of the community's voice, the board voted to become one of only 3 congressionally designated refugee resettlement sites in the nation. My family was among those welcomed. I was born at Valley Medical Center. I grew up in Eastside San Jose. My family relied on county health care, county services, and the county safety net for protection. That history of solidarity changed the trajectory of our families' lives, of all communities' lives. It also made it possible, this solidarity, this activism, this connection to each other, made it possible for me to become the first Vietnamese American elected to the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. I stand here today because of this legacy, because of the Japanese American community, because of all of our communities who never back down from the fight against humanity. When other community says, don't come here, this community says, you belong here. The failed federal policies coming out of Washington are creating fear in our immigrant communities, separating families, expanding detention, and threatening the very values that have made Santa Clara County a place of belonging, a place to thrive, not just survive. We cannot ignore the echoes of history when we see communities once again being singled out, dehumanized, and treated as though they do not belong. Our neighbors are not our enemies. The County of Santa Clara joined the State Attorney General Rob Bonta in filing a suit to challenge the proposed ICE facility near Gilroy. We believe our communities deserve transparency, accountability, and full public process before a project with such significant consequences moves forward. I want to thank our community leaders for leading the way. We follow your lead. We follow your example, and we will leverage every single power, every single resource at our disposal at the County of Santa Clara through our partnerships with our congressional delegation, with our state delegation, with our local electeds, with our local community leaders to make sure not ever again, not here, not on our watch. I am joined here today by our president of the board, Supervisor Otto Lee, by the members of our teams over at Supervisor Arenas' office, Supervisor Margaret Abekoga's office, and Supervisor Susan Ellenberg's office. We are a board united in this fight in protecting our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, not our enemies. Thank you so much for this work. It continues. It continues as this Trump administration continues to other our community members, continues to make scapegoats out of the people who build this country and continue to make it strong. We will stand with you today, forever, because never again. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. I do want to, before we go on to the next speaker, I want to recognize our District 3 City Council person who's present here. Are you here? Anthony Tordios? Oh, okay. There he is. Thank you. I think for those of you with the cameras and for our elected officials and VIPs, if you don't mind moving up a little bit, because I know you're camera shy, but I think you guys would like to have a nice picture of all your faces. Thank you. And now back to Natalie.
And now I welcome Susan Hayase, who is the co-founder of San Jose Nikkei Resistors.
Thank you very much. I'm really energized to be here, and I thank all our elected officials for being here and supporting us, and I thank the community members here that are here, and I thank the media for covering this really crucial issue. So after 4 and 5 generations, why do Japanese Americans care so much about immigrant families being attacked by ICE? Here's a truth that white supremacists are trying to erase. Immigrant families are American families. That's right. Our Issei immigrants came in the early 1900s, and they had no pathway to citizenship. They lived for decades in the U.S., they worked hard, they contributed labor and business activity in support of the local economy, and they raised American citizens. This is just This is just like Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, may he rest in peace, who was killed recently by ICE agents. Unjustly, he was a contributing member of the community and the economy for decades. I listened to a statement by his American citizen sons who clearly were raised lovingly and with good American values. Some of the people brutally arrested by ICE are seeking asylum through a process. They're seeking to be contributing Americans. Some people are working out problems with adoptions and visas. They're seeking to be contributing Americans. I feel proud that they want to become Americans. I feel grateful that they want to contribute to our economy, our culture, and our democracy. When ICE harms immigrants, they harm their American families, and shame on them. Shame! ICE is harming whole communities of Americans. Shame on them. Shame! You can probably tell that I have plenty of emotion about the safety and well-being of immigrant families. My emotion is righteous anger at the cruelty being inflicted. My emotion is deep empathy for people I can relate to from my family and community history. And my emotion is determination to organize my community to stand up for immigrants being attacked and to resist the cruelty and stupidity of Trump's racist policies. The media often portrays Japanese Americans as traumatized, but what I'm feeling is not trauma. There used to be 43 Japantowns prior to World War II, and now we have just a handful of Japantowns trying to survive gentrification. And in the 125 years that the Japanese American community has existed here in San Jose, we've faced segregation, employment, discrimination, exclusion from public services and from civil liberties protection, anti-Asian laws, and violence in addition to wholesale detention. This is not dissimilar to our neighbors in other communities. We've had to stand up for ourselves and stand together with other communities in struggles for justice and equality. And so facing the demands of today with our neighbors being attacked by ICE, we're not starting from scratch, we're doing it again. Moichido, we say moichido, do it again. Even in the concentration camps, our people resisted and protested with labor strikes, draft resistance, hunger strikes, and refusal to participate in government loyalty oaths. In that same spirit, we can and should protest, object, and resist today's brutal, unlawful ICE policies. Moichido, let's do it again. Our redress reparations movement in the 70s and 80s was a way to stand up for ourselves, but we also wanted to draw a line in the sand. Our redress victory meant that it is wrong to attack and smear people as a community and then punish them by denying them due process and other protections. And we're still part of that moral good fight today. Moichido, let's do it again. We've been saying never again for many decades now since the redress reparations movement. And one thing that we did was work hard on public education. We hoped that by illuminating our history, we could inspire people to make sure that it never happened again. But today, unfortunately, it's too late to say never again. The thing we feared is happening again now. In World War II, there were 75 confinement sites. Today, there are over 200, and there are reports of horrifying subhuman conditions. In World War II, over 125,000 were detained. Today, almost 400,000 have been arrested by ICE. Over 51 have died in ICE custody, and the number of those being shot in the street is growing. Today, we don't just say never again. Today, we say never again means show up, speak out, and stand up together. So we say, join a local organization, network in your city and county. Make sure your elected officials know you want them to fight for all of us. Contact us if you're local, and let's get going. We know how to do this. It's part of our history. It's part of our DNA. Let's do it again. Moichido. Let's do it again. Thank you.
Next, we have Bekki Shibayama from the Nihonmachi Outreach Committee and the Japanese Peruvian Oral History Project.
Thank you, and good morning. On behalf of the Nihonmachi Outreach Committee, we strongly oppose the establishment of an ICE detention facility in Gilroy. Like many people here today, my opposition is deeply personal. My family's unjust imprisonment during World War II is a stark warning that we must remain vigilant in protecting the civil liberties and human rights of every person, regardless of immigration status. My father, Carlos Arturo Isamu Shibayama, was just 13 years old when he and his family were seized from their home in Lima, Peru, and forcibly transported aboard a U.S. military ship to New Orleans. The U.S. government secretly planned to use nearly 2,300 Japanese Latin Americans in prisoner exchanges with Japan. The Shibayamas had committed no crime, they posed no threat to hemispheric security, yet they were classified as enemy aliens by the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Under the authority of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, they were imprisoned at the Crystal City Family Internment Camp in Texas. They lost their home, their businesses, their chosen country, and even their legal status. Sadly, they also endured permanent separation from beloved family members. My family's story reflects the devastating human cost when discrimination and unchecked government power override due process, justice, and fundamental human rights. It exposes the fragility of legal status in times of fear, prejudice, and human scapegoating. Tragically, those lessons from history are being repeated. During both of Trump's terms, his administration has repeatedly portrayed immigrants as threats to national security, rhetoric that has fueled fear, division, and dehumanization. Last year, Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport 252 Venezuelan immigrants without due process to a notorious prison in El Salvador. The vast majority had no criminal records in either the United States or Latin America. They were later exchanged for Americans detained in Venezuela. Earlier this month, Lorenzo Salgado Orojo and Johan Sebastian Guerrero were fatally shot by ICE agents just days apart. Federal officials later acknowledged that the men, who were both fathers, were not the intended targets of the enforcement actions that resulted in their deaths. Our immigrant neighbors should not have to live in fear of indefinite detention, deportation, family separation, or the wrongful death of a loved one. They deserve dignity. They deserve due process. They deserve freedom, and they deserve a community that stands with them. We say no to ICE detention in Santa Clara County.
We deeply appreciate the leadership of many from the Latino community and their many decades-long struggle for justice and humanity for immigrant communities. One of those leaders who we're proud to partner with is Rebeca Armendariz, who is an organizer working ICE out of Gilroy, Working Partnerships USA.
Good morning. I'm Rebeca Armendariz with ICE out of Gilroy. We're a coalition that came about after we heard that ICE was planning to build a detention processing center in our community. It's a coalition of local students, faith, community activists, business owners, labor, and all types of people and organizations who've come together to push ICE out of Gilroy, to push ICE out of Dublin, and to push ICE out of everywhere. I'm proud to be here among allies, champions, leaders, and survivors of the oppression that this country has waged on us throughout history. Our local coalition has pulled together folks from Soledad to Stockton, Morgan Hill to Monterey, because we know that if they build this Gilroy Processing Center and they open the Dublin Detention Center, they will fill it with our people from the Central Coast to the Bay Area. We march and we rally, we collect petition signatures, and we go city to city imploring our elected officials to do anything and everything that they can. And it's working. We recently found out that we have a temporary halt to the construction. It's temporary, it's not an injunction, but we'll take it. And it doesn't mean that we'll halt our efforts, not even close. Thanks to generations of community organizing from folks in this community, from the Latino community, and leaders like yourselves, we see our values and our power being reflected and being exerted in this way by folks like our Attorney General Bonta, by our county council, in the way that we see best to protect our most vulnerable. Leaders from Monterey, Santa Cruz, San Benito, and even Marin County have joined a dozen cities and others to sign on to an amicus brief in support of our lawsuit. They know that ICE will raid workplaces, schools, malls, neighborhoods, hospitals, and even places of worship. We see that our community will suffer together as they always have, but that's why together we will gather, we will strategize, we will organize, and continue to fight together so that we will win back our country. Together we will make it better and more resistant to these attacks on our community, our neighbors, our humanity, and our democracy. Please join us and take action today. Thank you.
Before we go to our next speaker, I just wanted to recognize two other elected officials present here. We have County Board of Supervisor Hutto Lee. I think he's behind you. And we also have Assemblymember Patrick Ahrens.
And our next speaker is Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren of District 18.
Well, thank you so very much. Thank you to the Nikkei Resistors and Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition, all the elected officials and community organizers who are here. I'm proud that this effort is multi-ethnic, it's across religious communities, but I'd like to single out the Japanese American community for special notation. They are the only group in the United States that has the history of mass incarceration during World War II. And I always know that the Japanese American community understands the issue of due process and will always stand up for civil liberties. So thank you especially to those in the Japanese American community. I'm proud to represent both Gilroy and Japantown in Congress. They're very different communities, but what unites them is we don't want billions of our taxpayer dollars going towards detention facilities right here in Santa Clara County. Yet funneling money to ICE seems to be the top priority of Republicans in Congress. Just last week, the House of Representatives voted to give another $70 billion in a blank check to ICE. That's on top of the $170 billion they gave to immigration enforcement just last year in their big, ugly bill. Now, for context, this is more than we fund our Marine Corps for. We could extend the ACA healthcare tax credits for 6 years with this money. We could fund the National School Lunch Program for over a decade. We could fund Head Start for over 15 years. These are things that would actually help Americans. But Republicans in Congress have decided that a better use of our tax money is to build prisons and to send masked, poorly trained agents to break down people's doors without warrants, to snag people off the streets without due process. You know, when I heard about the detention center being planned outside of Gilroy, I knew that we had to stop it. I introduced several amendments to the Republicans' reconciliation bill last week. 2 of them would have blocked the use of funding for new detention centers. Another would have guaranteed that Congress and authorized staff can do unannounced inspections of ICE facilities. However, as you know, the Republicans hold the majority in Congress. They didn't even allow a vote on these proposals. I introduced another amendment last week to prevent detention centers from being built. Republicans wouldn't even allow a vote on that either. Now, I read the complaint that was filed by the county and AG Bonnet. It's very good. I have been in touch with both offices, and I want to give them credit for the great legal work that they are doing. It's welcome news to pause the detention center, but it's important that it be stopped. You know, ICE is out of control. It needs to be rebuilt from top to bottom. We have dangerous, masked, armed men snatching people who've lived here for years and disappearing them off the streets. They've killed people on the streets. They are out of control. And if that detention center is open, there is none in Northern California, what it's going to mean is that those masked, armed, dangerous agents can fan out across Northern California and bring their reign of terror to our communities. We cannot allow that to happen. Now, I will not vote for another dime for ICE until the kind of basic reform that we need is undertaken. I won't do anything that would allow this detention facility to move forward. Hopefully, these legal actions will be all that's necessary, but we need to stand ready to do what else is necessary should those efforts fail. I also want to say that we have, and I'm going to take the liberty of introducing the next speaker because it's someone who I'm so proud of. We have in California a California Assembly, our state legislature, that understands these issues, that's willing to take a stand for the people of California, for whether the people who have been working here without their papers for 30 years, or whether they're American citizens who are being illegally snatched. Rob Rivas is the leader of our California Assembly. He is terrific, and he's here today, so please welcome Speaker Rob Rivas.
Always appreciate listening to our Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren speak truth, so thank you for your service and your advocacy, Congresswoman, especially in these challenging times. It's great to be here with so many leaders from this region and from our community. And before I begin, I want to acknowledge something every American should find deeply troubling. Over the past several weeks, report after report has exposed disturbing conditions inside immigration detention facilities across our country. Allegations of inadequate medical care, overcrowding, abuse, and clearly a lack of accountability. In fact, just this week, a court-appointed monitor concluded that California's largest ICE detention facility failed to provide adequate medical care to the people that were detained there. And look, regardless of where you stand on immigration policy, one principle should unite all of us, and that is that no one should be stripped of their basic human dignity. Our nation, all of us who are so fortunate to call America home, we deserve immigration policies that are rooted in justice and in due process. And that is why we are here this morning, because the proposal to build a new ICE detention center near Gilroy is wrong. It's wrong for this community, it is wrong for the state of California, and it is wrong for America. The Trump administration wants Americans to believe that this is about public safety. But the facts tell a different story. Researchers who recently briefed our community in Salinas, a roundtable discussion that we had a couple months ago. Researchers found that the majority of people ICE is detaining today have no criminal record. They don't have a criminal record. These people are farm workers, their parents, their neighbors. There are people who wake up every single morning, who go to work hard, who pay their taxes, and who are trying to build a better future for their families, like my grandparents did for me and my brother, for my family. And what we are witnessing is not targeted law enforcement. It is a campaign of fear. And this isn't partisan rhetoric. This is what we know. We've seen families separated, workers too afraid to report to their jobs, parents afraid to take their children to school, small businesses struggling because entire communities are living in fear. And that doesn't make America safer. It weakens the very communities that make America stronger. And that's why this proposal demands scrutiny. The federal government is asking Californians to support a detention system that has repeatedly faced allegations of neglect, of abuse, of providing inadequate medical care, and has a troubling lack of accountability. And before a single dollar is spent on this facility, or a single shovel touches the ground, the people of Gilroy, the people of our surrounding region, we deserve honest answers. Who's going to operate this facility? Who's going to be detained at this facility? And who's going to be held accountable when something goes wrong? That is not asking too much. It's not asking very much, because that is what responsible government requires. California has always been strengthened by people who came here seeking opportunity. We've heard those stories here this morning. Our diversity has never been our weakness. It has always been our greatest strength. It's why we have the fourth largest economy in the world. And when one community is targeted because of fear or because of politics, every community has a responsibility to stand together. Because this fight is about far more than one detention center. It's about whether we will allow fear to replace our values as Californians, as Americans. And as Speaker of the California State Assembly, as someone proud to represent this region, I know where California stands in this fight. We stand for the Constitution. We stand for due process. We stand for human dignity. And we will continue to speak out. We will continue to fight this terrible proposal until it is defeated. Because years from now, no one will remember the politics of this moment, but they will remember whether we had the courage to defend the values that define us. And let history record that when our community was tested, California did not look away. Here in Santa Clara County, in the Central Coast, we did not look away. We stood up together, and we stood up on the side of justice. Thank you so much.
Now I'm going to introduce Richard Konda of the Executive Director of the Asian Law Alliance, which has played a leading role in protecting the rights of all immigrants and serving our community for the past 49 years.
Asian Law Alliance is part of the Santa Clara County Rapid Response Network. We've been providing emergency legal services to families impacted by the Gestapo tactics of ICE. ICE is out of control. People are dying. Rights are being violated, and we must fight against the plans to build a detention center in Gilroy. ICE may lie and claim that they are building offices only, but the community will not be deceived. Stop the ICE detention in Gilroy. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker today is Assemblymember Ash Carla of District 25.
Good morning, Ash Carla, honored to represent this community in the California State Assembly, and honored to be here with our Speaker, Robert Rivas, and my colleague, Assemblymember Patrick Ahrens, as we stand with the community and say loudly and clearly, we don't want ICE in Gilroy. We don't want ICE in the Bay Area. We don't want ICE anywhere in our state. Now, we know that this president has really used his powers to target, intimidate, and harass immigrants throughout our country. And this campaign has harmed undocumented immigrants, naturalized citizens, and natural-born citizens alike. And there's a particular significance of us being here in Japantown, as we've heard from others. And I have great respect and admiration and gratitude towards our Nikkei resistors. This is not the first or last time we've seen this community come together, whether it's post 9/11, whether it was during the pandemic, or now here today. Because, as has been mentioned, the Japanese American community understands what it means when you get your rights taken away from you just because of the way you look or who you are. The Trump administration would have us believe that the people they are detaining are among the worst individuals. But as we heard from our speaker, that is simply not the case. The people being targeted are our neighbors, our families. They are our teachers, nurses, farm workers, small business owners, community organizers. But I want to make something clear. Even if someone is, whether they're employed or unemployed, whether they're housed or unhoused, whether they have a family they're raising or not, they all deserve due process. No one should be detained. And no one should be the victim of an extrajudicial killing or beating or the abuse that's happening right now perpetrated by federal agents. And I use that term very loosely because we don't know who half these people are. Now, the proposed ICE detention facility near Gilroy would bring the cruelty of the administration's mass deportation campaign directly into our community. And I know that we all send a clear message that we're not going to make it easy for the Trump administration and ICE to do this. We're not going to allow them to inflict pain in our communities. I know I'm not going to stand for it. I know Japantown's not going to stand for it. We know this county is not going to stand for it. And we know our state is not going to stand for it. And I'm proud to live in a county and state that has representation like Congresswoman Lofgren, Supervisors Lee and Young, and of course our Speaker and Assemblymember Ahrens and others in the legislature. I'm proud that we can stand here knowing that our Attorney General Rob Bonta, our Santa Clara County Council, Tony Lepresti, are part of the team challenging this project and demanding the administration follow the law. And in fact, at the state level, we were not only able to bring resources for our county council to do this. Last year, I was able to push for additional funding for Santa Clara County to have more resources to fight back against administration, with the Speaker in full support of that. And so we're grateful that we actually have a county that's leading the nation in fighting back against this administration. We know that we can't stop fighting because our democracy, our freedom is not promised. It's not guaranteed. In order to form a more perfect union, we have to keep fighting for it, because the moment you stop fighting for it is when they snatch it away. And right now what we see is an administration, while people are understandably under economic strain because of this administration, and people are struggling to survive, they're using the old playbook of white nationalism and white supremacy to divide us, while they're stealing from the Treasury trillions of dollars. We must stand up against it. We must make it very clear that we're going to fight for everyone in our community. And we're going to make sure that we're going to not only defeat Trump and MAGA, but hold everyone accountable when we defeat them. It's not just about Trump. All these Republicans who are choosing power over the people, they are siding with fascism over freedom. And we're not going to let them forget that. So we're going to fight right now. We're going to fight tomorrow. We're going to fight every single day for our brothers and sisters that are being detained, are being held, that are being deported without any due process, that are being beaten, that are being killed. Because we stand together in San Jose. We stand together in this great state. We stand together as Americans. And we're not going to let them get away with this.
Thank you, everyone, community members, elected officials, all of our speakers today. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming and for everyone's participation, whether you showed up or if you spoke today. On behalf of Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition, just want to say thank you for everyone for being here.
United will never be defeated. United will never be defeated. Now, that's a good way to end our press conference. Maybe a little bit unusual, but I really like this. And I just wanted to thank all of you, especially these people baking in the sun here, and our wonderful elected officials also for coming out to show their support and their leadership. For the Neighbors Not Enemies Coalition of San Jose Japantown and San Jose Nikkei Resistors, please, I know the politicians here are not shy being interviewed, so the media people go at it. But I would like to also just echo what one of the speakers said, that today we say never again means show up, speak out, stand together. And also mo ichido, it means we've been through this, our community has, and we know what to do. We just have to work with each other to do it. Thank you for all coming today.
We'll never be defeated. The people united. We'll never be defeated. The people united. We'll never be defeated. The people